Hello and welcome to the Autosport YouTube channel. I'm Jess.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Alex.
We asked you guys at home for your best 2021 predictions, and the guys and I are going to go through them and decide which ones we think could potentially happen this year and which ones have zero chance of happening at all. We'll then give our own predictions a little later in the show. So let's start off with our first prediction, guys, and it comes from at TH4TMF on Instagram, who says that they reckon we'll get a Merc engine failure in race 1, but complete dominance after that.
I think complete dominance is maybe, that's the part of that I'm not really sure I agree with. Like, we could see an engine failure. I think Red Bull were just they were so good in testing. Like, I can't see how Merc are going to sweep this season like they used to in the past. So, yeah, I don't think I quite see that one happening, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a very specific prediction. Two problems with it. One, Mercedes has had reliability problems all throughout the season. Look at the end of last year when Sergio Perez's Racing Point, ERS was failing every 5 minutes at the last couple of races. Also, it was gearbox problems that were sort of having the big problem in testing for both the Works team and the Aston Martin. So maybe it won't be a power unit problem that stops them in the first race, but yeah, it could strike at any time in the season, really.
At Joe That Likes Cars, they've come out and said that Merc are going to throw the 2021 championship so that they get more aero time for the crucial year of 2022. Can you imagine Mercedes throwing a year? That sounds quite bizarre.
It's a ridiculous theory, and it's one that I put to Jody Eggington, who's AlphaTauri's technical bots. I said to him last year, because and that's not even for a championship, that's for 6th or 7th in the constructors. And I said, would you ever consider dropping down a position so you get more aero time? And he said no. He said ultimately, as an aerodynamicist, you'd be like, okay, great, I've got more wind tunnel time and everything like that. But for the prestige of the team, for the prize money, for everything that a team needs, then it just makes no sense. So no way would Mercedes ever do that, in my opinion. I think that's ridiculous. No.
Yeah, definitely not. Also, they'd have to throw themselves from 1st to 10th for it to be a massive difference. It's like 20%. So Mercedes have got 90% of what they were allowed last year at the moment, whereas Williams is on 112%. So they'd have to go from 1st to last, and they're just not going to do that. Even they'd have to go a really long way to do that. Yeah, maybe Red Bull will beat them to the world title, maybe, but they wouldn't just stop racing to get 10th. I was
going to say, how do they even do that? Not turn up? Okay, so we're saying absolutely not. That prediction, wild, interesting, but not going to happen. Brave. That is a brave prediction. Okay, we've got at Manila.gent, who says Ferrari's going to start winning again. Are they in a position to be winning?
Really, I think they've got to be going for top of the midfield that's their target for this year. If they can get some podiums, then great. But yeah, I think that winning, that's still a couple of years off at least, I think.
But I guess, I was pretty shocked that Leclerc got podiums last year. But, he did get a P2 in the opening race.
Yeah, but he only got there because of the safety car. It's like how everyone was like, oh, Albon would have deserved to win that race. No, he wouldn't. It would have been a great victory, but he wouldn't have deserved to win it because Mercedes were half a minute clear before the safety car.
But isn't that just F1, Alex? Safety cars happen.
Yeah, I agree, but it doesn't mean he deserves to win a race that he clearly lost, apart from the circumstances then coming to him.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're saying that's unlikely. But it is. They do look like they're better. They do look like they've improved a lot from last season. We have a prediction here from Dave Travels on Instagram, who reckons Tsunoda could win a race this year. But what do we think? How do we think Tsunoda's going to fare this year?
I think he'll be good. I think to win a race, I think it will take a freak race like a Monza last year. I think he'll adapt well to F1. It's highly unlikely, but not impossible, I'd say.
But I'm a massive fan of Tsunoda after what we saw, particularly on Sunday. He was using his DRS for another track, but as he was allowed to, that's fine. But what was amazing was I was watching all the times they were coming in doing his race run on that afternoon, and in the span of about 20 laps, he set 15 personal bests. It was just going better and better and better and better and better. Then he had a spin, a little bit iffy there, I suppose. Comes back into the pits, gets on the tyres, starts the run again, goes even faster.
It's going to take some real luck to be getting into positions where they can win. But let's see. Okay, so we're saying this is a maybe. That's a maybe prediction. Our next one is from @Tristan.Leering, who reckons that the championship is going to go down to the final race. Now, hasn't said whether that's constructors or drivers, but let's just say either both, or the drivers' championship is going to go down to the final race. What do we think in terms of closeness of the kind of the top teams? Do we think we could finally get an actual exciting finale?
I'd say the chances are higher than they've probably been for the past 3 years or so. I think that we'll get a final race showdown between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. I think that's what F1 is really craving right now.
It would be great. I'm not going to say it won't. I'm not going to say it
There's
won't
going to be
happen.
a but here, isn't there?
It's just so unlikely. Like, they're not. The title deciders are never the common thing that happens. So I just don't know. I mean, conceivably, you could get to a point in the season where, say, Red Bull is a chunk ahead, Mercedes just goes, okay, right, we'll just come back in 2022. Or everything dedicated to that. Potentially, it could happen. I don't see it happening. I do think it will be closer. But yeah, I don't think you can categorically say one way or another there'll be a title decider or there won't.
Okay, so we're gonna go with no, but it's gonna be closer. Okay, next one we've got @LucasZPG, who reckons Tsunoda's going to outscore Norris. What do we think of that one? That's actually quite a difficult one to maybe call, because that is quite close.
I think if you add up the evidence and their experience, just on sort of what we saw at the weekend and also what's gone before, and look back on F1 history, I think you have to side with Norris on this one, because yeah, Tsunoda's probably going to get some amazing eye-catching results, but he's going to make mistakes as well. That's what rookies do. It's kind of weird when they don't, and then it all sort of blows up further down the line in their careers. You know, it has happened in the past with drivers. So yeah, I would say that because of that, because McLaren looks really good as well, they might be ahead of AlphaTauri. I think that's why Norris gets the edge there against Tsunoda.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think that Lando's got such good experience now. We saw what a big step he made from season 1 to season 2. And he said the other day that going into his third season that he feels more prepared, he feels more confident, and he's just got everything around him now. So I think that's going to work in his favour. Combined with the fact that Tsunoda is a rookie, he will make mistakes, and that's okay. Like, that's to be expected. But I think it means that Norris will outscore him at the end of the season.
Okay, so that's a big old note from us, but that's not to discredit Tsunoda. It says more about Norris, I think, than Tsunoda, but we think both of them are going to have stellar seasons, so keep your eyes peeled on those two. Next up, we have from @Cameron.Rimmer2104. He reckons Alonso is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Now, Spanish Grand Prix isn't exactly known for giving us rather exciting results, but for Alonso to win that, it's going to have to be quite some race.
I think no matter how good Alonso is, even if he is like as he was at Ferrari when he was at his peak, arguably, and able to drag that car so far up the order, it's not going to be enough, I think. I mean, Mercedes and Red Bull, I think, are going to be still a big step ahead of that midfield. So, yeah, I don't see that one happening.
Yeah, next to no chance of that happening, especially if you're going to narrow it down to one specific race. I mean, it would be great if he wins his own Grand Prix, but yeah, I just don't see it happening. I mean, Mercedes has been utterly dominant at Barcelona for years now, and if we think, let's just say Red Bull are even better than Mercedes this season, then that's 4 cars that he's got to get ahead, including the rest, as well as the rest of the midfield. So yeah, I just don't see it. Maybe there will be a freak result, but I don't think you can pin it on one race.
Okay, so we're saying a big old note for that one. @Peters76. Now this is a salty prediction, right? So get ready for some salt. Alonso will be completely uninterested in making any effort whatsoever and shun Ocon the entire season. Oh no, wait, that's totally what's going to happen. So Alonso's got a bit of a reputation, right, of being quite a difficult character behind the scenes. But what do we think of him pairing up with Ocon? Do we anticipate any animosity there?
I think it's going to be interesting to watch, and as you say, Alonso has that reputation. Having your drivers at each other's throats and working against each other, that's not good. That never works for anybody. So no, I think that I don't see it. And I think Alonso is coming back, and I don't think he's going to come back just to be an arsehole at all. I think he's going to work with Alpine. He wants to take this team forward. It's where he won his titles. I think there's a good sort of emotional bond there as well.
Yeah, I mean, unless he gets stuck behind Ocon at a race like Ricciardo did in one of the Austrian races last year, as soon as that happens, there'll definitely be some amazing team radio messages. But in terms of the overall sort of, are they going to have a massive falling out? I doubt it. There's just not enough, as Luke says. There's just not enough on the line. It's just like, right, they'll be polite, they'll be friendly. Maybe they won't be extremely close, but they'll just get on with the job.
So that's what the fans think, guys. But what are your predictions? I'm eager to hear what you think is going to happen this season. So, Luke, why don't we start with you?
My prediction for the 2021 season is that Max Verstappen is going to win the World Championship and Red Bull is going to win the Constructors' Championship. I was really impressed by Red Bull through testing, and I think that we know Mercedes, they're going to come back. We know that. We know that wasn't a true reflection of where they are in terms of what it's going to be like through the season. But I think, as Alex said earlier, ultimately it's got to get to a point this year where whoever's trying to play catch up in the title race, they have to go, no, they've got to throw the white flag and say, we can't do this because we need to focus on 2022. And yeah, that's maybe my thinking. If Red Bull get an early March, maybe sort of the first 5-6 races are a good step ahead, Mercedes might go, you know what, let's just call it a day for this year, everything on 2022. And that might allow Red Bull, I think boosted by Perez, to go on and sweep to the championships.
My prediction looks frankly cowardly in comparison now. Well done, Luke, for putting yourself out there with that one. I think George Russell and Williams are going to score points, but not in like a wet, crazy, mad race. I think they're going to he'll qualify 13th or 12th or something like that. They'll put him on a one-stopper and he'll just deliver it. And that's what I see happening this year.
Okay, so my prediction is a bit of a driver market one, because we all love driver market gossip. And it's going to be about Mercedes. But no, Luke, it's not the driver you think about. My prediction is that if Lewis Hamilton wins the World Drivers' Championship this season, he will not return to Formula One. His year contract is a bit of a signpost in terms of how he's thinking. Again, it's so easy to read into these things, maybe more than you ought to, but I just can't help thinking that once he's got 8 records, he's undeniably the most successful F1 driver of all time, statistically. And I just think there's so much more that he wants to do with his life. And obviously he's such a keen racer. He wants to keep racing, but I feel like there's other things that he's interested in as well. And I think once he's got 8 under his belt and no one can really touch him, it'd be a poignant moment to kind of do a bit of a Nico Rosberg mic drop, leave the whole series moment, but with 8 world driver titles under his belt rather than the one. So yeah, I think we might not be seeing Lewis Hamilton next season should he win again this season. We're gonna come back to these predictions at the end of the season and find out just how right or wrong any of us were. So make sure you stick around until December for that. Thanks to everybody that got involved. It was so good going through your predictions over on social. Remember, if you ever want to get involved in one of our videos in the future, we're at Autosport wherever you want to follow us. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more videos coming to you this season. Thanks to Luke and Alex for getting involved, and until next time, we'll see you then.